Yo, yo.
Mike, you got beat again, bro. Matt beat
Matt,
you
2
again,
weeks
dude.
in a fucking row. That's because I told him he's got to listen to Respect On this week because he's going to enjoy it.
Good.
He was ready for that.
I feel like I'm having a stroke, like trying to figure this thing out. Like I'm trying to invite you, and then you're fucking sending me a thing. It's crazy. We did it
Well,
though.
I went on. I just saw that it was up because it's 9 o'clock. It was starting, so I just clicked on that, and then yeah, I didn't send anything to you.
No, you sent me a request.
I didn't press anything.
Really? It said maybe it just does it on its own. I don't even know what's going on with this app anymore, bro.
Elon, dude, Elon.
Yo, Elon, bro, that's your boy, bro. You probably got like a Tesla like hoodie and shit.
I got my Cybertruck in the driveway right
Sorry.
now. Charging right now. It can go.
I
It can
love
go
the
like 2
tweets.
miles down the road.
I love the Elon tweets where he has a joke and it's literally the comments are like, "Great tweets, sir. Thank you very much." Like with the salutes and shit. It's crazy.
Bot City.
Let's go, baby, Matt. Let's go, boys. All right, let's do
Biddy Daps, let's go.
it. Let's do it.
Wario.
Wow, Vinny, Jerry in the house. All right, let's start.
Let's go. Wow.
Jerry live, Jerry. What is up, GCF fam? It's your boy Sean here, back at it again with another edition of the Grand Central Fantasy Podcast. I am joined, as always, by my right hand man, the number one Kirk Cousins fan, Mikey Rock. Mike, talk to the people. Let them know how you were losing faith in Kirk Cousins in the first half. You weren't answering my text because you know I was speaking truth. And then I would wake up to all caps, "You like that," after Cousins scored a game-winning touchdown. Why don't you tell the people about that story?
Well, Sean via text was screaming at
Yes,
me. I could feel like your veins pulsing through your neck.
high
How
blood
Kirk
pressure.
Cousins sucks, and you were jumping on the bandwagon last week
Oh
about
yeah,
how he can't plant his foot and throw the ball. I'm like, Jesus
I
Christ,
didn't
give me
say
a
that.
fucking
I
break,
didn't say
bro.
that.
Yeah, you were leading
You
the
said
charge, dude. You were leading the charge. This guy sucks.
for a
Drake
minute. I
London
was.
sucks this. This guy sucks that. Bring back Arthur Smith. I'm like, what's going on over here?
Bring back Arthur. Shout out Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh, and they're 2-0, and the offense is like fucking
Dominant.
terrible.
Dominant.
It's amazing. Listen, we are back after a great week 2. Pretty good fantasy results in terms of our teams. Pretty shitty fantasy results in terms of injuries. That's why the episode's called "Call the Damn Ambulance." Shit is getting rough out here. A lot of people are dropping left and right. They're dropping like flies. And Mike, this is why you need to be subscribing to our Patreon. $10 a month. That's only what? If you pay right now, that's $40 for the season. If you're in a bunch of leagues, you get unlimited access to the team at Grand Central Fantasy. It's not just me. It's not just Mike. We have tons of groups. We have a group of people that are ready to answer your questions at a drop of a hat. We are there for you instantly. Personal DMs. You also get a lot of access to all the stuff behind the paywall. But for this specific reason of helping with lineups, helping with waiver reports, helping with free agency budgets, everything you need. We're only 2 weeks in. You guys don't want to get to 0-4, okay? If you're 0-2, sign up right now. We will do a full audit of your teams, see what's available, see what's out there, make moves, do everything we need to do to support you guys because that's exactly what we are here to do. $10 a month to get in the door, $15 a month for that instant connection, the big breakdowns of everything you got. Go check out our Patreon. The link's in our bio on the main page. Mike's talking on the VIP Twitter, which that's the one that we will DM you because we have notifications on. I love to say the only notification I have on my phone is the one from that Twitter page. My whole family could be dead in a ditch. I wouldn't know, but I would know if you had a lineup question. So make sure you check our link in our bio, Grand Central Fantasy at Patreon. Now, Mike, before we get started and put respect on these motherfuckers' names, I'm feeling good. Week 1, we're kind of, getting back in the swing of things. Week 2, I got that Viagra dick, baby. Do you have anything you want to talk about before we put some respect on these motherfuckers' names for week 2?
Uh, I mean, there's just in the NFL in general, man, it's been crazy. This week too was more entertaining and more chaotic than week one to me. Week one was a little flat, boring. Like it was cool. It was the first week we got shit going, but it was kind of low key. There wasn't a lot of people to put respect on their names. But this week we saw a lot of big offensive numbers. We've seen a lot of underdog teams winning. With the Raiders over the Ravens, the Vikings.
Fuck survivor pools. I'm not doing it anymore. Don't fucking ask me to be in your survivor pool because I'm not doing it.
No, it's impossible, dude. It's almost impossible. It's crazy, but it's just crazy. It was a chaotic week. It was fun. Also, there was a lot of injuries this week. Where I think we're going to touch on that. We got to talk about all these first round picks, Sean. This is the craziest year with first round picks with
Oh, we'll
shitty
get there.
play,
We'll get there.
and yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but and there, last but not least, I think we have to just touch on real quick how I beat your fucking ass in our fantasy baseball keeper league in
Relax.
the fucking championship.
That's
Wipe the floor,
embarrassing.
baby. Let's
One
fucking go. You're talking to a champ right
one
now.
category,
Put
and
fucking
honestly,
put you in the ground, baby. 6 feet under.
stolen, stolen,
R.I.P.
stolen victory because
R.I.P.
you added Justin Verlander who shouldn't have been there. I mean, if I wanted to make a stink, I could, but it's okay. It's okay. Listen,
What would have happened if I didn't add him?
you would have added somebody else who probably would have blown up your ERA, and I would have won the ERA, and I would have won the whole thing.
That's not how that
I'll be
goes.
back. I'll be back next year. Nobody, trust me. I've put up the polls. Nobody wants to hear us talk about fantasy baseball on here. So let's go ahead and put respect on motherfuckers' names for week two. Because I want to hear this because you're right. There are a lot of guys that deserve this. My fucking boy better be on there. Shout out Nick Flair. You know who I'm talking about. He better be on here. He should be wearing green and white, but it's all good. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Well, after I put respect on myself right there, I guess I'll put respect on other people. And we're gonna start with James fucking Cook. Yo, this was really hard, dude. This was really hard. There was a lot of fucking guys worthy of having respect on their names. I had a lot of trouble compared to last week, but we're starting with James Cook. Go all the way back to fucking Thursday Night Football to remember James Cook's fucking masterpiece. 3 touchdowns on the day, 78 yards on 11 carries, which could have been more, but the Dolphins were getting fucking spanked. Shout out CTE. Yeah, James Cook, he scored a touchdown through the air, and he got it done on the goal line too, man, from the 1 yard line, which was a little surprising, man. Usually that's Josh Allen's mo, but Josh Allen right now punching air after handing the ball off to him at the one. This dude is a dual running back threat, and I think some of us underestimated him maybe. I think he should be talked about with the top running backs in fantasy because of what can do on the ground and what he can do through the air. That's a conversation to be had. Put some fucking respect on his name. Next, we're going with Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr, Saints offense. Everybody on the fucking Saints offense is
Fuck
getting
right.
respect on their name. Matt, this is for you, my boy. This is for you, baby. We fucking did it. The biggest surprise in the NFL, the Saints led scoring drives on 15 of their first 15 drives through the first 2 games. That's fucking crazy, dude. Touchdown on the first 6 possessions of this game against the Cowboys defense, a well-respected defense. Who said Clint Kubiak more than me this offseason, Sean? Maybe his mistress in the bed, but I'm a close fucking second, okay?
Yeah.
We owe Derek Carr an apology. Second in
Not
completion
me.
percentage, tied first in passing yards, has had a strong start. Offensive line's giving him time to throw the ball. I'm taking my Alvin Kamara victory lap for the 30th fucking week in a row. I
Yeah,
told you
yeah.
guys to go get him way above his ADP. Mikey Rock right again. Fucking, what do you have, 56 touchdowns the other day? Fucking insane. Olave had a better week too after you shit on him. Not great, but a better
Oh
week
yeah,
too.
relax. Better week.
A
Flex,
better
flex
week
play,
too. It
flex
was a
play,
better one. We're working. We're progressing. And
flex.
Rashid Shaheed burning people worse than arson judge. Our Patreon Matt, bro, huge Saints fan. From the struggles in the red zone last year to now, we out. We're going to Bourbon Street. Let's get fucking lit. Put some respect on the Saints name. Next, DK Metcalf. I was fucking hyped about Metcalf all offseason. He was one of the wide receivers that I was reaching for after years of shying away from him. He let me down week one, but he shined in week two. He had a boatload of fucking targets. I believe he had 14 targets, 10 catches, and a long touchdown. And we were promised in the offseason by Mike McDonald, the Seahawks coach, They said he wants to move Metcalf around and get him the ball a lot. They fucking made sure of that. And we're going with his counterpart as well, JSN. Everyone's getting fucking respect on their name today,
Nice.
bro, because he enjoyed a career day. 12 catches, 117 yards. Put some respect on that motherfucker's name. 36%, 37% target share for him. He had career high numbers. I'm fucking dyeing my hair purple with DK. Dangly Cross hanging from my right ear. Put some fucking respect on his name. Next, we're going Malik Neighbors. The Giants ruined Neighbors' fucking career by selecting him, but they understood one thing. He's the most fucking talented player in this offense by far. And what do you do with a fucking dog? You let him off the leash and maul all your fucking shitty neighbors. Fucking kill everybody. Let's go. You're hearing this right. 62% target share. Feed your beast. That's insane. 18 targets, 10 catches, 127 yards, a touchdown. Dropped the catch on fourth down. Sorry for that little disrespect, but that was bad. That like, blew the game.
Yeah.
But he righted the ship, and he's going to continue to be a fucking target hog. Yes, they play the Commanders, but he's going to be a problem in this league for a real long time as long as the Giants could get a decent quarterback with a full human-sized brain in the future. Put some fucking respect on his
Oh
name.
no.
And last but not least, Cardinals offense. I think this is what Sean wanted to hear. More specific,
Oh,
Kyler Murray. Even more specific, Marvin
stroke.
Harrison Jr. And that first Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown was unfucking believable. It gave me fucking goosebumps. That throw from Murray was perfect to Harrison to keep his feet in the back of the end zone, body halfway leaned out. I don't know if you saw it. It was wild. It gave me shivers. It reminded me of like when I lost my virginity. It was a beautiful thing. The
Oh yeah.
next drive, play action, Murray rolls out to find Marvin Harrison Jr. deep again. Signs of huge things to come, Sean. And if this game wasn't such a blowout, we'd probably be talking about Harrison with 200 plus yards. Rams defense shaded himself, but Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't your ordinary rookie. He fucking killed it. Kyler Murray killed it. Rolling up in the pocket, throwing in the end zone first, a third touchdown of the game. James Conner, 21 carries, 122 yards, a touchdown. McBride, six catches, 67 yards. Everybody on the Cardinals offense was eating, everybody shining. This is a young and upcoming offense. And more importantly, they're going to be doing big things in fantasy football all season long. Put some fucking respect on those dudes' names.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about. The vindication, especially after week one, right? I was getting questions about if they should bench Marvin Harrison Jr., Tajee Spears, or Marvin Harrison Jr. These crazy questions. I get it after week one, he didn't do shit. But listen, Kyler and MHJ really could be unstoppable. We recommended that stack to you guys a lot in the offseason, okay? Especially because Kyler was going anywhere in the like seventh to ninth round, depending on your league size. And literally on Sunday, I was just like blowing up Mike's phone, like spam texting him every time fucking Marvin Harrison Jr. did anything. I was like sending 8 fucking text messages because I was getting so fucking hyped. Any league I had the two of them in, I blew my opponent out of the water. Okay. I mean, if you can still go buy these guys, go for it, but you can't, right? People are going to be trying to go get them. If you own them, just hold. Okay. These guys are fucking legit. Um, I don't know, dude. In some league, towards the end of the year, Marvin Harrison Jr. was going towards the end of the first round. I think we're going to see that value really keep going. We'll get into the first round bust in a minute when we take respect off, but I just love what I saw. What I really loved on Sunday was just a vindication so far. Listen, I'm not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, Mike, but like just the Derek Carr and the Saints offense, the hate they got last year against a you know behind a terrible offensive line. The offensive line was ranked in the like bottom two even going into this year as well. It's like you said, it's been great. Kamara's getting his shit off, but Derek Carr, Mike, he's the second overall fantasy quarterback behind your boy Baker Mayfield. He's the third overall fantasy player for 6 point touchdowns statistic wise, if that's in your settings. But dude, Derek Carr, he's ahead of Hurts, who's fourth overall, Lamar, who's fifth, Josh Allen, who's sixth, and Patrick Mahomes, who's 12th overall quarterback. The earliest quarterback taken in the top three was Kyler. like I said, was 7th to 9th round pick. Baker, who was number 1, Mike, can you guess where he was drafted? Not round, but overall pick, like 90th overall, 95th overall. Where do you think Baker Mayfield was drafted on average in these drafts just a couple weeks ago?
I want to say he was undrafted.
158th overall. So in some leagues that is undrafted. Now it's early, it is what it is, but listen, we can get in a bigger conversation about how maybe the fantasy quarterback might be dying in terms of taking them a little bit early because it's just these guys aren't producing. If you took Jalen Hurts second round like he was going to some, Mahomes went third round. We covered it last week, and we're going to be getting into the Chiefs a little later as well. You kind of set yourself up for failure. In the GCF Patreon League, I took Lamar third round. That's going to fuck me. You know what I mean? So just keep an eye on that. I really loved to see the Saints. Alvin Kamara, we told you guys it's not over. People are talking to me on the Patreon page, Mike, like, oh, should I flip Kamara before he falls off a cliff? It's like, why do you think he's gonna fall off a cliff? I mean, the guy's in his fucking prime right now. Like, nobody's trying to sell off CMC. I'm pretty sure they're the same age or close to it. Like get out of here with that. We're riding the Saints all fucking year. Chris Olave, I still don't know how to say his name. Chris Olave, like, dude, I get it, but where he was getting drafted, we need to see more. I think we could see more. But the fact that like Shaheed is doing his thing and he's like the Tyreek Hill over there, it's just impressive. Malik Neighbors, dude, he's that guy. Like he looked really good with this garbage ass quarterback play. I really don't want to shit on the Giants, so I'll give it to them a little bit. I also like Singletary. He got loose for a couple good yards, and he was a pretty solid flex. So I'll,
Yeah,
I'll give the
I think
Giants
he had
that.
98 yards on the day.
Yeah, I'll give the Giants that, man. They were running around a little bit. I mean, that's a sloppy game. Daniel Jones is a joke, but either way, it is what it is. DK, I personally sleep on DK every year. I don't know what it is. He's just not like the type of player that I'm trying to have on my team. He's always too expensive for me, but I think you're on to a good point, Mike, in terms of like he's being used differently now, not under Pete Carroll. And it's just a situation where sky's the limit, but I do think we're going to see a lot more from JSN, and I think he's going to start coming into his own now. Tyler Lockett's just old. I almost called him Doug Baldwin. That's how old he is. And at the end of the day, it's like it's just time for these young guys to get loose. And speaking of young guys getting loose, James Cook, dude, you mentioned something about us sleeping on him, bro. We didn't sleep on James Cook. We told people to draft him.
Well, I think it's more of not sleeping on James Cook, but I think he might belong in a higher tier of running back than I have talked to him in. This is a guy who is gets it done in the passing game, and he's getting it done through the running game as well. He's getting his attempts. He's getting high yardage. He's being successful, and it's like maybe he should be talked about with like some of these top tier running backs.
Well, some of them should get respect. You know what I mean? Like you should give them respect. And we said in the running back pod that who does Josh Allen really have? Right? They're going to naturally try to ease up on his body. They're not going to have him run as much. This is shit we know historically that happens. Of course, James Cook's going to fill that void. Now, he's had issues with drops in the past, fumbles, the whole 9 yards, but I do think we're going to see consistent buildup of him really taking the lead back role, obviously, but a main piece of this offense. Kind of replace Diggs with him. I know it's a different position, but if they're going to be in a jam and really need to get shit going, I think they're going to use James Cook. So it's exciting if you're a James Cook owner. It really is. Mike, before we move on to respect off, I have a question for you. What's your trust level with Derek Carr as your quarterback? Because a lot of people really punted on quarterback. For me and all my teams, I have Kyler Murray pretty much anywhere because he fell to like ninth, right? Ninth round, excuse me. One league I have Derek Carr, and it's just kind of like a mess around league. I don't really take it too seriously. But I went, zero QB, really waited. I'm glad I did. Derek Carr's schedule the next couple games: home versus Philly, at Atlanta, at Kansas City, home versus Tampa, Denver, Charger, at LA Chargers, at Carolina. That's up until week 9. Let me go to the bye. Week 10, home against Atlanta. Week 11, home against Cleveland. Are you trusting Derek Carr and really the Saints offense to keep this up? Because I don't want to seem like I'm really blowing this up, but dude, they scored like 90 something points in 2 games. Like if this was the Cowboys, everybody would be blowing their load. Like what do you think this is in terms of like sustainability? Do you think we're going to keep seeing this from them?
I think maybe not to the extent of scoring 40 points every game, which is what they've done the past 2 games. They've gone over 40. I was a little skeptical after the first game. You played Carolina, they're dog shit, whatever. But this is when I really became impressed, and I'm like, all right, it's time to put respect on their name. Was going playing Dallas, who is known as a very good defense in the league, but not just playing Dallas. Went into Dallas's house and fucking blew them out. That really impressed me, Sean. I think the reason why they can continue to sustain success offensively is because of Clint Kubiak. I talked about it a lot. I felt like he was going to bring some of the better quality traits out of Derek Carr from what we saw in his early days with the Raiders. And when you look back to his early days with the Raiders, I mean, this is a guy who's had several seasons of throwing over 4,000 yards, several seasons of throwing close to 30 touchdowns. This is a guy who has a very solid arm, and we just haven't seen it out of him the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of turnovers from him. We just seen shittier play. And last year, I mean, was a mess there too. But I think
Not his fault though.
no, it's not totally his fault, but it just seems like Clint Kubiak and his style of offense was going to be something that was going to help bring out better offensive playbook and scheme for Derek Carr. So, I mean, do I think that he's going to continue this historic run? No, absolutely not. They're not going to score 40 touches a game. They're not going to score on literally 95% of their offensive times having the ball, but I think definitely that he can continue this rate up of being successful with these guys. Rashid Shaheed is a legitimate threat. It's funny because this is a guy for the last like 2 years. He kept coming up on my waiver wire columns each week. He was a boom bust candidate, almost like a Gabe Davis. Like he'd go off one week, then you wouldn't see him for multiple weeks. He's done this 2 weeks in a row that he's burning guys. They look like they're building some chemistry. They keep going back to him. There's a lot of good things going on for the Saints. I think they're going to continue success, not at the historic rate, but they're going to continue to be successful.
I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. I think the consistency is going to surprise a lot of people. I'll feel much better when Olave starts really getting involved, but I think the Saints in general are going to be a better team. And I know Matt's happy because he was getting ready to personally assassinate
Well,
Dennis
here's
Allen.
my thing with Olave too. When you look at these 2 games, they've been blowouts. So
Yep.
it's like eventually they start to go away from passing the ball and they start just running the ball, getting time off the clock and stuff. This past game, they fucking threw the ball 16 times. Derek Carr had 16 attempts. The first game, Derek Carr had 23 attempts. That's not of a lot of attempts. So he's got 39 attempts on the season. There are several quarterbacks around the league who have that many attempts in one game this season. So I think once they start playing teams and it's a little bit closer of matchups, they're not going to blow out everybody each week. When it starts becoming a little closer, those passing attempts are going to go up, and I think that you'll see the targets go up for Olave as well.
We'll see. 443 pass yards for Carr, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 14 rush yards. Don't forget those.
And
Uh,
one rushing touchdown.
Oh, I like that. Oh, yeah, you're right. I missed that.
Yeah.
All right, listen, that was very positive. I appreciate it, but listen, it's time. It's time to get negative. Too much happy's going on. It's time to take respect off these motherfuckers' names. And a lot of you guys within the sound of my voice are feeling negative because of these motherfucking injuries. We'll get to that, but the first group we have to take respect off of, Mike, it's tight ends, dude. Laporta. I wanted to just I didn't want to fuck up the segment. I wanted to just go off about Laporta because I couldn't believe it, right? Laporta, 3.3 fantasy points in PPR leagues. That's 11.8 points over the first 2 games. Okay, whatever. Travis Kelsey, 1.6 points last week. 8 total in PPR leagues. Those two were taken in the second and third round. Laporta, they were selling us Laporta, and I'm a big Laporta fan. I have him in Dynasty. They were selling us Laporta like this guy was gonna. Oh, get ready, bro! Like, he's gonna be the new fucking Kelsey. He's gonna be a new Tony Gonzalez. Like, he's gonna be a beast. I saw one asshole talking about 15, 20 touchdowns. I mean, they're not even looking in his fucking direction. Jameson Williams, my fucking boy, got 11 targets. I'm curious to see what your thought about that is, Mike. What your concern level is. But getting back to the other tight ends, likely the Ravens tight end, only because a lot of people spent a ton of fap on him. Or fap, fab. He's on this list. 4.6 full PPR points. We told you guys not to overreact. Kyle Pitts. 3.8 points last night, 13 total on the year, which isn't bad, but all these tight ends are bad. I told you, please go get fucking Bowers. His ADP was in the 8th to ninth round. He's the second overall tight end with 30.6 PPR points. And even Mike Gesicki went undrafted. He's the 4th overall tight end. Taking all respect off tight ends' names, I don't want to hear about tight ends during draft season ever again. I really fucking don't. Next up, we have my boy Zamir White. Mike, this hurt because he was my big sleeper pick. Oh, let's see what he's got. 6.8 full PPR points last week. Barely a flex play at this point. I drafted him in a lot of the leagues to be my RB2. 11 PPR points total. Not giving up on him yet because he still leads in carries, but the Raiders' offense might be too messy to roster anyone besides Devontae Adams, the GOAT, and Bowers. Next up, we've taken respect all the way off on Cooper Kupp's ankle, dude. Went out against the Cardinals, going on the ER. I think they might have officially put him on the ER today, not IR today, not sure. Truly disappointing and disgusting that Cup has to do this to us. RIP the Rams. Would have been an incredible game against the Cardinals. Super high scoring. I had the over in that game. Fucking shit the bed. Listen, you should have seen this coming. That's why I was a little hesitant last week. I'm pretty sure Mike put respect on his name. It's just the point where I think it's over, dude. It's over for Cup. I don't think you should trade him. I think you should hold him. It just is what it excuse me. It just is what it is. It's just incredibly disappointing that for 3 years straight now we just can't rely on Cooper Kupp, who's arguably one of the best fantasy wide receivers ever. Like he really is. Go look at his numbers. Next, taking respect off of Tua's brain, bro. RIP Tua's brain. Like, but also, please stop pretending like you give a shit about Tua and his well-being. Like, I see it on Twitter, I see it in the media. Oh, I'd retire if I was Tua. I would retire if I was Tua. Like, bro, you don't care about him. Like, if Tua's not your friend, he's gonna keep playing. He's gonna keep collecting his money. A guy like that, he does not give a fuck about concussions. Clearly, I mean, just a couple of years ago, he's like staring at his fingers and like doesn't even know where he is, and he kept playing. Everybody's like jerking off when him and Tyreek Hill are throwing 90-yard bombs. So stop pretending like fucking uh, you care about Tua, but at the same time, respect off his brain, bro, because he's not gonna even know where he is. And then finally, we have Jamar Chase. He needs to get his emotions under control. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Everybody saw it. This is the problem, though, Mike. This is why I had the issue with him being in the top 5. Contract issue, overly emotional. I mean, I know he's a young kid and everything, and like it's only 2 weeks in, but I mean, with your first round pick, you're really like setting the bar high. Like you're building your cornerstone for the year. And I mean, Jamar Chase, you're just getting nothing from him so far. You would rather have Jonathan Taylor, who's been putting up, I think he got 15 back to back weeks, If I would have said I'd taken Jonathan Taylor over Jamar Chase just literally a month ago, people would have laughed me out of the building. So respect off all these motherfuckers' name. I also have written down here that I'm curious to hear your thoughts, if you can lead with that, about Tua's impact on like Tua being out, the impact that has on Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Because dude, Tua gets a lot of shit. He's on the IR. They did it officially today. Skylar Thompson's going to be the fill-in. Friday had an interesting idea about the Dolphins maybe trading for a guy like Matt Stafford. I would love it, but I don't think it's happening. You rarely see deals like that made this early in the season or at all. But dude, for a guy that gets a lot of shit, Tua really is like the Hawaiian Kirk Cousins, and like Mike should jerk off to him, but he hates Tua. But meanwhile, he has the same type of numbers as Kirk Cousins, and sucks in prime time. So, Mike, your thoughts on the Hawaiian Kirk Cousins, Tua, and his dead brain?
That's a terrible comparison right there. I mean, Kirk Cousins has been successful for years.
Look at their average numbers, bro. It's pretty
Average
similar.
average number. How many full seasons has Tua played in the NFL?
We're not talking about full season. We're talking about average
Oh,
numbers.
oh, average. No, okay, okay,
That's
nice.
what I said. That's the argument.
So Mike White, who they probably should have just kept on the roster, he's just as good as everybody.
They're missing Mike White now. Don't the host next week, Nick Flair, filling in for me. He's gonna have some words about Mike White. But anyway, keep going.
I'm sorry, I get a little upset when people
Emotional.
disrespect my boy Kirk Cousins. Yeah, we'll go with emotional. But no, they're fucked, dude. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are absolutely fucked. Considering where you drafted them. I mean, they're still going to put up numbers, and Tyreek Hill is still a playmaker. And if you put the ball in his hands, you know, he's going to be able to make big plays. But the problem is going to be number one, the chemistry between Tua and his wide receivers, who he's been playing with a couple of years, and two, no one really knows much about Skylar Thompson. And I think defenses are going to, they're going to challenge him. They're going to blitz. They're going to give those opportunities, I think, one-on-ones a lot and stuff and force them to try to throw the ball. But I think they're going to blitz. They're going to come at him. They're going to stack boxes against him. I think it's just a bad situation all around. There's no way in hell, and this is the most important thing, Tyreek Hill was 1.03 in drafts this year. There's no way in hell you're gonna get return. You're gonna get your value returned on that investment.
I
Absolutely.
wonder. I don't think so either. I agree with you, but I just wonder because all you need with Tyreek Hill, bro, is just one big play. You know, that 80-yard touchdown that kind of sets you up. But I don't know, man. I
I
do
get
think
it. I get there. Obviously, there is a chance and stuff, and you just have to get the ball into his hands. But like I said, you know, they've been with each other this whole time. They've been playing in games, Tua and him, in practice. They're the starters. They're the ones who built the chemistry. And Skylar Thomas is going to come in there and is going to have a successful impact with them right off the bat. I know they have playmakers. Playmakers make plays, get the ball in their hands. But to me, I'm blitzing. I'm playing press coverage on these wide receivers. I'm forcing Thompson to make quick decisions. A guy who's inexperienced at quarterback. I just feel like obviously it's a negative impact for all these playmakers on Miami. I think they're in huge fucking trouble. But
26 points week one for Hill, 6.6 points last week, full PPR.
um, yeah, the tight end strategy. Like, I mean, I've preached this my whole life. Besides last year, shame on me. I already slapped myself on the wrist for that. Like saying to
Yep.
draft Travis Kelsey early last year, the first time I've ever said that with tight ends. Dude, it's a crapshoot. It's you just don't do it. It's not worth it. In the top 13 tight ends in scoring this year for fantasy points per game, only one was a top five tight end drafted. Only one guy drafted in the top five is in the top 13 of scoring. That's disgusting. That's terrible. The rest are drafted outside. It's a crapshoot. Um, I guess the tight end is kind of, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like this massive, like, scoring from all these guys, and I thought it was going to be a deep field. And I mean, it's a deep field for like the under the radar tight ends or like the tight ends that you could have waited on. So that's the strategy that we push on you guys. That's the strategy you just have to go with every year. I mean, Travis Kelsey, that was a note second round. You saw what he gave you last year during the regular season. He declined. He still put up good numbers, but he declined. He wasn't worth a second round pick. That was too risky. Was not worth it. Laporta, I still got some faith in, but he's disappointing me right now. There's still time to right that ship. But so far, these top tight ends, man, Kincaid, all of them, take respect off their fucking names. Zamir White, dude, victory lap time for me. I sent the tweet out about a month ago telling people, I said, look me in the eyes and tell me you trust Zamir White as your running back too. Because people were, because he was being drafted, I believe, like running back 21 overall. And a
Yep.
lot of people said, I drafted him, but as like my third or fourth running back we have him. And at the time, I thought that was fair, but I felt a little uneasy about it. And that is called going with your gut. I went with my gut. I didn't feel good about it. I don't have Zamir White, I believe, on one of my fucking teams, and I feel fucking fantastic about that. He netted only 68 rushing yards on 22 carries over the first 2 games of the campaign. Madison got the red zone touchdown for them. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't feel good about him at all. Respect on the Raiders, respect on Gardner Minshew, your boy Sean,
Oh yeah.
respect on Brock Bowers, respect on Devontae Adams. He had a huge game. A guy that people were sleeping on, a guy that I heard a little shit for because I think I put him 10th or 11th on my wide receiver rankings pod. I mean, he had 10 catches, he had over 100 yards. He had a huge game in that win against the Ravens. But yeah, I mean, Zamir White, I think I had it written down here. Yes, they play the Panthers, I believe, right?
Yes.
Week 3. So I had this written down. I wanted to talk about this. I think this is a game where Zamir White can, he has high stock, obviously, against the Panthers. Panthers have looked terrible on defense. I think this is a game that Zamir White can get it right. I hope he does, and I hope he does for your guys' sake if you have him on your team. Because after that, you're fucking trading him. I think he's a terrible running back. I think he could potentially lose his job. I think this is a week where people might start to get hyped up. That's when I'm selling him. That's some fucking solid Mikey Rocket is for you right there. When you have a player like that who's underperforming, you're weary about, and he goes off and has a good game against a shitty team, you take advantage of that on the trade market with people who aren't paying attention and that sort. So how do you feel about that, Sean?
I don't know. I guess it's just how much your confidence level is with White. I don't. You're saying you think he's terrible. I'm not going to take it that
Some
far.
may say he's the next Mike Davis.
A
I'm
lot of
just
that was
saying.
popular. That was a
I'm just
popular one.
saying.
Yeah, that was a popular take. I mean, I could see it. I'm not ready to give up totally on him because I just saw what he did last year, and I understand that is like such a Mike Davis thing. But it's 2 weeks. The Raiders' offense is fucking messy, dude. They were behind a lot, and maybe that's enough, dude. Maybe that's just enough to not have him on your team anyway, because they probably are going to be behind a lot. But I mean, I watched the Madison touchdown. It wasn't anything crazy. Like he made it happen more than they like set him up for it. Like he made couple really good plays, and even last week White still outpaced him. But I have to agree with you just based on what we're going off of. If he went off this week, you have to try to spin him into either another running back that you trust more or like a solid wide receiver. And Mike, before we move on to week 3, because we're running long on this shit. I do want to say with tight ends, I'm not saying it's going to happen next year, but I do think within 5 years, you're going to see Fantasy Pros, ESPN, Yahoo, all the major fantasy hosting sites and Sleeper as well really pivot like in their language, their quote unquote experts and stuff. We're going to see the tight end spot be moved everywhere to like a tight end / wide receiver. I think that's going to be like a um kind of like standard for fantasy leagues just because tight end's such a fucking crapshoot. I mean, the production wise, we'll be able to take a better pulse of it when we're around like week 8 to week 10, but I just think it's kind of on its way out. If you want to draft one of the stud guys like Laporta and Kelsey and even Kittle's actually doing good. If you want to draft one of those guys early, go for it, but you don't necessarily have to fill that spot on the roster. I don't know if you have anything else or you have anything to say about that, but
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting take. I don't think the tight end position is dead. I mean, it's been up and coming the last couple of years. The tight end position has turned more into like a hybrid wide receiver position. But I mean, obviously, right now it's only week 2. I don't want to go into full blown panic. I still think these top tight ends are going to come out and have solid outings and stuff. It's just you invested so much in these guys with these top picks and they're not returning value. It's disappointing, but at the same time, you kind of did it to yourselves when we told you
yep.
that these second, third, fourth round draft positions need to be spent on running back and wide receiver and depth at those positions.
I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, And you said too. It's early. Let's not go crazy, but I'm noticing a trend and I'm not liking it. Mike, you ready to move on to what we're looking for in week 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to start
Yeah.
because I'm very curious about this. The fact that, and you got a little bit of, it's kind of a bummer, like injury situation. So we'll wait on that one. But the Chiefs running back situation, Carson Steele, he's going crazy right now. They got Perrine. They also signed Kareem Hunt today. There's talk of Worthy's going to be getting some run. I like that too. For me, dude, Steele is the guy. I'm telling you. Go fucking spend your fab. Don't blow your load on it, but go spend your fab. He's not a little quick motherfucker, like just a regular ass guy, dude. He's a big motherfucker, big rough runner. He's not the quickest, but he'll take these fucking hits. He's like a little bit slower version of Pacheco. Truck stick motherfucker. I think he's really going to fill in pretty well for Pacheco while he's out, who could miss 6 to 8 weeks. Mike, I'm curious your thoughts on it. I'm I I don't want to speculate too much. I don't think, Steele's going to end up as like a top 5 running back this week, but I'm curious to see what they do. I think Perrine's going to get some love around the goal line. He's a rookie steal. I understand like some people might have some trepidation really spending a lot of their fab money, but to me, I feel very confident spending a big bulk of it. What are you thinking before we get into what you're looking forward to week 3? What are you thinking about it with Steele? Because he didn't look great after Pacheco went out, but I believe in him. What do you think?
I'm a little weary, dude. I'm a little weary of the whole situation. At first, I was, jumping on the steel bandwagon and stuff, but I'm this last half a day or so, I've been starting to lean more on Perrine. Um, I think that Steele's more of just like he's a big dude. He's a strong dude. You're right, but to me, that falls in line of a guy that is a solid short yardage back, a guy who's good to pick up 2, 3 yards, a guy who's good to pick up, um, you know, third and two, third and three, or a goal line back. He's definitely going to have upside in the touchdown zone as well. But to me, Perrine's more of a veteran. Perrine's been around longer. Perrine is better in passing situations because we don't even know. I looked at Carson Steele's college numbers. He didn't really do much through the passing game. That's not his MO. This guy was undrafted rookie, and he was brought in this team to be a fullback. He's brought in the team to be a blocker. Um, Now, with that said, I don't think Perrine's going to be the guy. I think it's going to be a split backfield. What we saw from Carson Steele the other night, he had a higher snap count than Perrine. But also, you got to remember, Samaje Perrine was brought in just a couple weeks ago, so he's a little bit behind. And I think he might be a little bit behind the next coming weeks, and Steele might be in front of him. But I think altogether, from a fantasy perspective, and maybe a PPR perspective, I think Perrine might be the better fit. But now the Chiefs signing Kareem Hunt, bringing him in there again. Kareem Hunt's 29 years old. He hasn't had a training camp. He didn't have an off season. He probably isn't going to be worked into the game script for a couple weeks. But him getting signed now too, I think we're headed to like a committee, running back by committee. I think all three of these guys are going to get work. And I think there's going to be people out there who spend a ton of their fab money on Carson Steele, and maybe it works out. I think he has a lot of red zone upside, but I think they might end up regretting that because I think everyone's going to eat a little. So this is a little tricky for me. I'm not too high on anybody in this backfield. I don't think any of these guys are going to come out and be like top 15 running backs in the foreseeable future until Pacheco comes back.
And Kareem Hunt is like a non-factor, right?
Well, I think so as of now. Again, 29 years old, no training camp, hasn't been hit by a fucking player in so long. Um, I don't think he's going to play for a few weeks. I just feel like that's how it is. I mean, he's played in this system, so he understands the system and stuff. But I don't want anyone thinking like this is Kareem Hunt in his prime, like with Nick Chubb in his early years in Cleveland. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I do think he's going to get some love on the field.
Yeah, dude, we'll see. I also think Worthy is going to be involved more, but people are really milking that like he's going to start at running back.
That's
It
interesting. I haven't really heard much about that, but that is interesting, and I think that's smart.
People are trying to get Worthy in there, and I get it, but I don't know. I do like Steele a lot. I think you made a lot of good
Your
points.
boy, your boy Jerry just asked a question, and I think it's good for us to bring it up right now on the show,
What do
since
you ask?
we're the waiver wire, your waiver wire claims are due tonight, and he wants to know what's a solid amount of money that would you spend on Carson Steele in your fantasy football league.
A good chunk, man. I mean, I think anywhere if you get $100 and if you need a running back, I think anywhere from like mid 20s to 30. I don't know if it's that if that sounds crazy to you, Mike,
It's
but
not crazy because there's definitely a lot of upside there. I mean, he showed it off, man. He's a hard runner. He's ready to take a hit. He'll plow your ass over. And those type of running backs are successful in the red zone, and the Chiefs are going to be in the red zone a lot. So he has a lot of upside right there. So I get it. I wouldn't spend that much. I'm a little bit below 20, maybe that in that area, but I think it's worth the risk to spend 15 to $20 at least on him, because you don't know how often a guy with a ceiling that high is going to be available on the waiver. So I get it. I'm not mad about it. I just feel like it's a tricky situation. There's a
yeah,
lot, a lot of guys that can eat there.
let's put it this way. That's what he's gonna go for. If you want to pay it,
Yes.
go for it. But that's what he's gonna go for. It is what it is, man. We'll see how it goes. And I see we have some people requesting to talk. We're recording the live podcast. We put it on streaming services and stuff, bud. So if you want to comment or anything, you can type it in the chat. And if we have time at the end, we'll let people on. But yeah, it's interesting to see. But Mike, what do you have going into week 3 before we do our starter sits? Because yours was a little more depressing. So.
Well, it's just yeah, I guess it is depressing. It's more about injuries, and it's just like the 49ers, and I just kind of want to touch on them and see where you're at with them. I mean, they were missing CMC obviously against the Jets, and they beat them. They did their thing, but they lose to the underdog Vikings this week, and now we see that Samuel's going to miss multiple weeks with the calf injury, and um, this is why I bring up the 49ers. I think they're a team who in fantasy might be in trouble. Obviously, Brock Purdy being the number one guy, and Purdy's had the luxury of being handed the most talented offensive supporting cast, where he has, where he's been ahead in games most cases. And when he's played behind Sean, his numbers have not been all that great. And
Yeah.
he turned the ball over on consecutive possessions in this game. When they were down, he lost a fumble, he threw an interception. Um, the 49ers failed on fourth downs a couple times. Brock Purdy, was a big reason for that. They play the Rams this week, and I think that's a solid matchup for them. But after that, their schedule to me gets a little tricky. You got the Patriots, who have been pretty fucking hot to start the season, especially their defense. Then you got the Cardinals, who are an up and coming team. You got the Seahawks, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bucks, Seahawks again, Packers, Bills, Bears, CMC. He's going to miss some time. He's on the IR. Deebo, they said he's going to miss multiple weeks. Who knows what that turns into? That's a tough stretch right there. I don't know if those guys are going to miss all those games. That's a big chunk of games, but they very well, CMC might. And if they're missing CMC and Samuel, I think the 49ers offensive rhythm is going to miss a beat.
Mhm.
Like, that's a huge downgrade for me for Brock Purdy for the foreseeable future. Um, how do you feel about Ayuk in this situation? I mean,
Read
he
my
held
mind.
out, he got his contract, and he's been a no show. Like, someone get a fucking pulse check on that man because he's done absolutely nothing. Their offensive line got manhandled by Minnesota. That's concerning. Like,
Well,
I
yeah,
wanted to bring
dude.
up the 49ers. Like, am I overreacting here? Is Brock Purdy going to be able to handle playing in these games that are going to be a little bit more competitive. It's going to be a little tougher without his top weapons because CMC and Deebo Samuel are like dual threat position player weapons where they both run, they both receive, and they take a lot of pressure off of Brock Purdy. So should people in fantasy who own Brock Purdy, number one, panic, and number two, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, these guys are going to have a lot more pressure on them. Should people worry about those guys in fantasy as well?
So real quick, I thought you'd find this funny, Mike. I don't know if you noticed the guy that requested to talk put a thumbs down when you said Kareem Hunt isn't going to be available for the first couple weeks
So
and stuff. So I
you
was
said
not having him
something.
hop on. I was not having him hop on to talk,
Well,
dude.
I don't see these messages, maybe because I'm in the VIP
Yeah,
app.
yeah.
He said something in the show.
He requested to talk, and you can do the emojis. And when I was like, "Oh, Kareem Hunt isn't going to do anything,"
You
he
should have brought
thumbs
his ass
down.
on, dude. Fuck him.
Nah, man,
That,
that's more than an okay. But listen, with the Niners, I think you're having a proper reaction. I don't think you're overreacting in any way. I just think it's safe to say you're concerned and it's smart to be concerned. Here's my thing with the Niners. No Debo, no CMC. It doesn't take them out at all. It just makes them a less dynamic offense. With Debo, he is almost underrated from a football perspective, like real life football, not fantasy. I think everybody respects him enough, and his ADP reflects that. And he was having a pretty good season up until, well, pretty good 2 weeks, but he is injury prone and he can just do it all, which makes them more dynamic. CMC is the best running back, best fantasy running back pretty much ever, like you said. Shout out our boy Dub, by the way, who's loving life as a Viking fan. When you said that the Vikings manhandled the Niners front line, I could hear him fucking jumping for joy from here. But I'm kind of sick of the Niners. I think they're going to be fine. Like Brock Purdy, show me that you're actually a guy that is, if they go to the Super Bowl again, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback next year. So show me you're a guy that can do that, and you're not just Joey Garoppolo 2.0. But at the same time, I'm a little sick of it.
Joey Garoppolo.
Like what's did I get that right? No,
You said Joey Garoppolo.
what's his first name?
Jimmy,
Jimmy. Exactly.
who
It's fucking
actually did
fucking
he just came
irrelevant.
back from suspension. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. I know last time I saw him was at a Raiders press conference when they signed him, and that was it.
I
But
think he like was suspended for like
Royce,
PEDs or something.
hell yeah, that's my boy, dude. He's like banging porn stars and shit. He didn't give a fuck. They're like, "Yo, Jimmy, what's the playbook?" Like, and he's like, "Okay." But I'm just sick of the Niners, dude. Like Trent Williams, every time he does a play, they roll him out and like put a fucking oxygen tank on him, and then he's like, "Oh, I actually was inspired by this guy, so I came back out and got hurt again." I mean, he's like 40 years old. Let's wrap it up. I need to see it. You talked me off the. It's interesting. You talked me off the ledge with Ayuk the other day because I was pissed about it, and you made a lot of good points. Holding out, uh, no training camp, had a rough matchup against Gardner with the Jets in week 1, and then the Vikings secondary is not as bad as people were making it seem. And I think he needs to step up. The guys you have, like George Kittle, your boy, he's going to be fine. Jordan Mason's going to be fine. But if anything, I think they might do better. But Brock Purdy might struggle a little bit, with consistency and turnovers. I could see that being an issue. If you're an AU owner, I could see you having, he could get a 60-yard touchdown and be done, and Brock has no problem passing it off to Mason, who's going to get you double digits, and even Kittle will probably get a touchdown here or there. But I think Purdy might struggle because he doesn't have that security blanket of Deebo Samuel. We're going to see, man. I do think CMC is going to
Brock
come back.
Purdy. Brock Purdy was drafted as a QB1. He was drafted within the top 12 quarterbacks this year, and so far his numbers are 10.3 and 15.
Yeah,
So
that's not what you want. And
no,
at the same time, it's like you got. This is why we say we're looking forward to week 3, like what we want to keep an eye on, because we don't necessarily like have an opinion, a strong opinion, I should say, how it's going to
no.
go. We're just
We want to see
curious.
what's going to come of it.
And at the same time, it's like, dude, I think CMC is going to come back sooner than people think. I didn't like Deebo too. His hamstring's always an issue. He gets out, but he comes back. I I don't like the NFL is pissing me off. Before we get into starting sets, I was so happy with AJ Brown that they actually announced way before the game that he wasn't going to play, because this league needs to get their shit together, bro. All right, I understand these fucking teams, like, they act like they're in their own little world and they're in a trench with each other and blah blah fucking blah, but you're paying customers, the people that make this league what it is, invest a lot into gambling, into fantasy sports. This guy's not going to play, put it out there like they did with AJ Brown. CMC finding out an hour before Monday Night Football that he's not going to play when they told Jordan Mason on Friday he was playing is a joke. So I really think the NFL needs to do better with that. Do you have anything else, Mike, before we wrap it up?
No. I thought that was really cool though too, because we were getting like hounded with questions. Should I risk it with AJ Brown or should I start this guy? And then right away, like after that, AJ Brown's not playing. I'm like, well, that answers everyone's fucking question.
Well, and Sirianni's dumbass is like, yeah, it's precautionary, it's nothing. Don't worry about it, really. And that, like, I'm tired of it. Like, I get 10 years ago, like with fucking Bill Belichick on to Cincinnati, these coaches don't want to say anything. Oh, it's all fucking cutesy. They act like they're fucking curing cancer here. It's a game. It's football. Tell me if this motherfucker is going to play so I can put somebody else in. Or tell me if this motherfucker is not going to play so I don't put $50 on this game. It's really not that hard, okay? I got to sit up here and listen to the fucking Mannings like it's church on Monday night being like, oh, this is how I throw the ball. Blah, blah, blah. Like, just tell me what
Oh,
the fuck's going on.
don't forget about the new Mannings of the NFL, the Kelseys, dude.
If I see fat fucking
Fucking
Jason
fat
Kelsey
Jason
one more
Kelsey fucking
time,
twerking on the stage, dude. I can't. I've had it,
did he
bro.
twerk? I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
He
Was
was
he
like
twerking?
wasted in like a green jumpsuit, like blasting music to techno, dancing like a fucking idiot. And I don't know why people find that entertaining, why they want to watch that.
You know how I know I'm old and washed up, but like I'm just truly like a dad and don't care. And it's funny because Jason Kelsey is fucking older than us. Is the idea that just being drunk in public is like crazy and hilarious. Like they show the Kelseys like drinking beers and it's all over fucking every Instagram page
LOL.
ever. Right? Like it's like he took his shirt off and he drank a beer. Like, oh whoa, dude, who cares? And people are like, oh my God, like I love this guy so much. Let's give him $50 million a year for his podcast and he's on
There's no
ESPN and all
way.
this
No
shit.
one listens to this podcast, bro.
It's number
I
one on all
no
the
one.
charts. I don't
No,
get it.
there's no way. Who are these people listening to these podcasts?
I think it's
And
just Taylor
I've
Swift
never
fans.
listened to it. What the fuck could they possibly be talking about? How Taylor Swift, how she flicks her bean? Like, what are they fucking talking about?
So before he started fucking Taylor Swift, used to pop up like on my Instagram and TikTok, and they were just like talking. It would be recaps of their games, and it was like whatever, dude. And I haven't seen any clips since, I swear. And all I do is hear how it's the number one podcast, but I don't know anybody that listens to
No
it.
one listens to it. There's no one. Please, any of you guys, do any of you guys listen? I need to know. I don't know anyone in the fucking world that listens to this shit. I don't
Mike
know
is
anyone in the world who would want to listen to it.
dude. No, no, no.
Maybe if
You
you're
know
like a
what?
Chiefs diehard or an Eagles, that maybe. But I just, what can they be possibly talking about?
Bro, you know what? I forgot to tell you. I buried the lead. They're drinking beers, dude. They drink beers, and it's crazy because they're just like me and you, but they're millionaires that don't give a fuck about you. But they're drinking beers with their shirts off. It's fucking hilarious. That's what they do on the podcast. So
Good.
download it right now. Um, before we get into start and sits, and I don't really care because these starts and sits are stupid. Honestly, I hate that I picked these players. Um, are you worried about the Jets game? Mike's going to the Jet game, by the way.
Oh, I'm going. I'm definitely gonna live stream too. There, I'm black.
Please
I'm
do.
getting
That's the
fucking
best.
wasted. I'm getting fucking wasted. Am I worried?
Yeah.
I'm not worried, but I think that the game's gonna be closer than I once thought it would be.
because the line opened up at 6.5 and everybody was like blowing their load. Like Bill Simmons, of course, was like, oh my God, this is insane. And now it's down to 6. And I want to bet the Jets because like everybody I know is going to be at the game. But because everybody I know is going to be at the game, I have a feeling that they're going to lose. And like, because that's like tradition at this point. Like the first game of the
Well, I
year, they get
mean,
that.
I'm worried a little bit. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to run all over them. But also, the Jets haven't played at home yet. When you have the home crowd behind you, things are a little different, I feel like, at times, too. So, I don't know. I think they're going to win. I'm not worried about the game, but I don't think that they're going to blow them out.
Well, just so you know, Robert Saleh is doing 100 burpees before the game. So if he,
Oh, yeah, he'll be jogging up the stairs of every section of the game.
it,
And like peeking over at the cameras to make sure they're videotaping him still.
because now my thing is like, okay, so we have the defensive guy who it brings us the best defense, and now the defense is like not that good. So it's like, what does he do here? And I didn't.
Well,
When
that
did
goes
they?
back to when I got, well, because you guys know I'm Twitter famous now,
Yes.
and it goes back to when I said it's wild that the Jets are keeping 11 defensive linemen on their roster, and I had
Seems
like half
crazy.
of Jets Nation showing up to my house rioting. And why did they do that? You kept 11 guys, and none of them are good at stopping the run. So I don't. Maybe they picked the wrong guys. Maybe they should have added guys elsewhere because they seem to have a lot of holes on this team, more than people realize there would be. But
And I don't even blame. Like, sorry, this is turning into Jets like corner, but I don't even blame like the Jets or Joe Douglas for hiring Salah because people won't talk about it if Salah inevitably gets fired. That he was the hottest commodity at the time. Like tons of teams wanted him, right?
yeah,
But it's just like you see him, and I'm not a big like optics guy. Like, okay, he doesn't do anything on the sidelines. Well, he doesn't have to. Like, he's not calling the offensive plays. What do you want him to do? But now the defense looks like shit. So what are you doing here? Calling timeouts poorly and then fucking just like again working out and like never seeing your kids. He really has 11 kids.
I know he has a lot of kids. I don't know about 11.
Dude, you know he doesn't even know their names, bro. I think he has 11 kids.
They they're at the training camps a lot and stuff too. They'll be on like the field and stuff
No,
with
dude,
the
those are the
players.
Make-A-Wish kids.
Stop.
That's Rob. I'm
I
googling it
don't
right
know.
now.
I mean, I could do without Salah. I wanted a offensive minded coach, to be their head coach at the time. But it is what it is. Hopefully, they can right the ship. It was a win's a win, obviously, but it was ugly. We'll stop talking about the Jets in 1 second. I just want to I want to appreciate this because this is something that doesn't happen a lot. That drive at the end of the game where Aaron Rodgers led them down the field, like God, it feels good to have like a somewhat competent quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Oh
that was
yeah.
Zach Wilson or like any of the other shitty quarterbacks that we've drafted every single year that suck and go to other teams and do awesome, Sam Darnold, if it was any of those other quarterbacks, like it wouldn't have happened. Like he orchestrated a successful drive at the end of the game down the field to win the game, and it's nice to see. Now I finally get to understand what it's like to have a halfway decent quarterback.
Well, that's why I'm getting pissed now because it's like you knew this was coming down the pipeline. They were obsessed with Rodgers, so much so that they didn't want to get a backup quarterback because they believed the player who, honestly, I don't blame him for anything. He should be delusional and think he's coming back in 3 months from a torn Achilles. You don't have to go listen to him. You should go get a fucking backup quarterback to actually save the season because the team was good. But you saw this coming down the pipeline that we were going to have a good quarterback and now the defense can't fucking catch up, and we have all these issues on defense after having one of the best defenses in the league last year. And Robert Sala, who has 7 kids, by the way, you know who I was thinking of? Philip
I
Rivers.
was gonna
He's the
say
one.
Antonio Cromartie would definitely think of
Oh well, Kamar. Well, we already know Kamari doesn't see his
Philip
kids, but
Rivers.
it is what it is. All right, starter sits to wrap it up. First off, my boy Pickens. I could do a whole podcast on Pickens. First 2 weeks of the 2024 season, he had that monster touchdown called back for offensive pass interference, and he was like twerking in the end zone and shit, and they were like throwing the flags and stuff. He didn't see it at all. He's going against the LA Chargers, your boys, with Justin Sherber and Harbaugh, who are 2-0, but they're about to be like 2-7 because those games are just horrible. I'm starting Pickens till the wheels fall off. I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, the Steelers have no wide receivers besides Pickens, and like I feel like the game plan for teams basically is cover Pickens like white on rice,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Fields is the quarterback
racist.
again. So well, yeah, of course. Well, what do you expect from me? But Fields is the quarterback. Again, it looks like. Uh, I'm probably gonna start him. Like I'm not confident as like a wide receiver too, but like maybe as a flex play, I'll start him. Like I feel like you kind of have to, but I'm not confident in it at all. If you have other options and you feel better about that, go with your gut and do it.
Jacoby Myers, Mike, he's been coming up a lot on Patreon as a fill-in for all these wide receivers because he's available a lot. Against Carolina this week, you starting him?
That's an interesting one because obviously we talked about how shitty Carolina is and their defense and how many points they've been giving up. Brock Bowers, dude, he's been eating. He's been getting all the fucking targets, basically the targets that Jacoby Myers was getting. Jacoby Myers, I think, has 8 targets on the season. Brock Bowers he had 8 targets his first game. He has 17 on the year. It's a good matchup. I think I'm staying away though. If I'm gonna say no, I'm not starting him. I
Uh,
still love him, but I just like what I'm seeing from Brock Bowers more.
I'm starting him, and this is going to be the game that he's number one on everybody's fucking waiver wires next week. Get
I
ready.
like it. Yeah, I like that.
Singletary at Cleveland. Tough matchup. I think that Cleveland defense starting to round into shape a little bit more. I'm going to start him, like you said, 90 yards. I think the Giants, even though the coaching staff there is an absolute mess and overrated in every way possible. If this entire team was the Arizona Cardinals, everybody would have been fired already and released and moved on. But because it's the New York Giants, we all have to pretend like they know what they're doing. But I do think they figured out that for them to be in any sort of contention, they have to run Singletary a little more. And I am going to start him, but I'm not going to expect much more than pretty much mid-level to high-end flex play at like 10 to 12 PPR points. What do you think, Mike?
He had a very good game, 95 yards on the ground, a touchdown, but that was against a very fucking weak defense. Terrible defense, probably one of the worst in the league. Cleveland's a team who's should have a lead and force the Giants to play from behind. I'm fucking sitting them in most cases. I don't feel good about it. And I got a quick question for you: Singletary or Zamir White this week? Who you starting?
Singletary. It's got to be.
Really, really, wow. You know me. I've been hating on White, but I'm going White over him.
All right. Next up, we have Charbonnet versus Miami. Mike, I threw this in because with or without Kenny Walker playing, which there's not much info about right now, had a really good game last week. Miami's defense is the definition of just average. I'm going to start him, and dude, I'm probably starting him in my flex throughout the rest of the year. I mean, Kenny Walker can't really be trusted. He's already missing time. He has an oblique injury, ironically enough. Mike has a torn oblique. R.I.P. Mike's oblique. What do you think? Are you starting him? Because I can't remember if you're high on him or what. Because I know you're a big Kenny Walker guy, but hate his injuries.
Well, take respect off my oblique, but Charbonnet. As long as Walker's not playing, I think there's a very high chance that Charbonnet is successful against Miami. Dolphins defense is severely overrated. They're allowing 5 yards per carry on the season. They've allowed 4 touchdowns to running backs in the 2 games. I'm definitely starting him. I think he's going to be. Um, I think he's going to have high RB2 numbers this week. If Walker's back, then I'm probably sitting him. I think once if Walker's healthy, he's on the field. That's their guy. But if Walker's not there, I'm 100% starting him.
Tajay Spears against Green Bay, Mike. This was a guy that was supposed to be doing what Tony Pollard is doing. He had that injury. He might not play this week, but I was reading some stuff before he went on because I almost pulled him off. They're saying his ankle's fine. He's going to be fine. If he doesn't play, obviously don't start him. But against Green Bay, the matchup is really good, at least on paper. How do you feel about Spears this week?
I'm not feeling too good about it. I mean, Pollard's been looking pretty solid down there. I liked Pollard in draft, kind of. I kind of liked his draft position. I know he was terrible in Dallas, but I just felt like he was going to get volume there, and I feel like he has. Tyjae Spears hasn't, he's a pass catching specialist to me, and maybe in deeper formats in PPR leagues you could start him, but I'm not feeling great about him. I still think Pollard's the running back that you want, so I'm going to sit him.
I'm benching him. He sucks, honestly. Shout out our boy Billy Denbaum. That's his fucking son. Also, Billy, I know you listen to this pod. Billy, our boy, told me to sell my entire team in our dynasty league. Literally makes fun of every trade I make, and I just beat his ass last week. I'm 2-0. He's 0-2. But I mean, I'm sure he's got a prospect in 2029 that's really going to blow me out of the water. So I'll wait till then. Last but not least, Mike, Jalen Waddle. So I added this because obviously Tyreek Hill, he's starting no matter what, right? You didn't draft him. You said he averaged the third overall pick, which is crazy. I thought it was higher than that. Are you starting Waddle though against Seattle? They're I can't remember if they're in Seattle.
Yeah, they're at Seattle.
Yeah, so that's rough already going on the West Coast. You're a big like East Coast, West Coast travel guy. You always like put that in when you're making bets and stuff like that. Are you starting Waddle with Skylar Thompson going on a road trip and shit?
I feel like you kind of have to. Not as like your wide receiver too. He's like a flex play to me. Like I said, with your playmakers, you got to get them the ball somehow. I feel like it's going to be a lot of screen passes, a lot of slants. There's nothing going to be sexy about this offense moving forward from the quarterback position as long as he's there. I mean, not many people around um, fans around the league can tell you much about Skylar Thompson. So I say start him just because you probably don't have many receivers on your bench that are more talented than Jalen Waddle. The ball can get in his hands; he could do some damage. But I'm not starting him with confidence. He's more of a flex play than a wide receiver too.
All right, for me, I'm gonna give Waddle one more chance as the president of the Jalen Waddle fan club that I should have retired 2 years ago. Um, I'm going to give him one more shot, but I'll tell you guys right now, if he sucks with Skylar Thompson this week, I'm benching him until Tua comes back. And if that's months from now, it's months from now. So we'll talk about it on next week's pod. Actually, I won't talk about it on next week's pod because I won't be here, but our
Wow.
boy, our boy, uh, Nick Flair is going to be popping on. Um, he's going to be filling in for me. If you guys miss any part of this podcast, you can go to YouTube or Spotify tomorrow. Hopefully, we don't have like a exact time, but hopefully it's early afternoon to late morning. Check it out.
I'm
Um,
telling Dave to do it right now.
yeah, hopefully our CTO can do it ASAP. But yeah, that's where we're at. Matt, thoughts on Jerome Ford? I'll hit you up in the DM about that, but right off the bat, I still like Ford. I think he's gonna be the guy. I think I've told you this before, but I think Jerome Ford. I'm starting him every week as a flex play. Mike, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
What on Jerome Ford or just in general?
No, just anything. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't touch too much on like I wanted to touch on the Buccaneers so bad, but we'll do that next
Oh,
week when they
yeah.
fucking kill it again. With Baker Mayfield's doing his thing. Like people slept on him after going to Tampa Bay and being fucking phenomenal last year, and now they're doing it again. Chris Godwin's the number one wide receiver in fantasy. I wanted to put respect on him so fucking bad, but there was
You
too many
should.
people. I wanted to. It was just the list was going. I would have been here all night, dude, if it was respect on. There was
There's a
just so
lot
many
of guys, dude. I could have done a whole podcast shitting on the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't have fucking 5 hours, but
there were so many things that we needed to touch on tonight. I think you and I, Sean, we're gonna go back to the laboratory. I want to I think we're gonna have to tweak these pods a little bit and do some things different. There's so many things to fucking talk about.
We spend
Like
too
we
much
didn't.
time on respect. We're like 40 minutes in, and it's
Well, I mean, the people. That's what the people need. But like, I mean, we
oh
didn't get a chance to talk on the Bears offense and their
yeah.
struggles and the receivers there. Everybody spent huge capital on. We didn't get a chance to talk on Jefferson's injury, all these injuries with these receivers, but the people who get to talk about that with us, those are the Patreons.
Yes.
They get to interact with us literally 24/7, and we've been talking with them about it. So that's the important thing, I guess.
If you want the full experience, subscribe to Patreon. I'll talk to you about Caleb Williams' nails all day.
Yeah, he will. I'm sure he will.
I meant to tell you, I have his USC bobblehead. And I noticed the other day the nails are painted on that one too. I gotta send you a picture.
You're lying, dude.
I swear to God,
Next
it's
time I see you,
red
come
and
to my
blue.
house with it. I'll bring my baseball bat outside,
Yeah,
and you can fucking hit me. I'll fucking
I was,
shatter it into a
I
million
was gonna,
pieces.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm definitely not. All right, bro, we're out of here.
Later,
Later.
peace.